Good evening, Nick family, and welcome to the Queen's Court. My name is Stephanie, and I'm your host. We're here to take a look at the past week of Knicks games, the games we're going to play next week, and also get into a few of the storylines surrounding the Knicks. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button, as well as like the video or don't like, as long as you're engaged. It's cool. Shout out to the chat, to those listening now, those who'll listen later. Shout out to the MBK Network family, and shout out to friends of MBK and the Queen's Court. Knicks have played 14 games. We are 8-6, second in our division, sixth in the conference, but only 1-2 last week. We only won one game. We started the season 5-0 and have been under 500 since then. Concerned or encouraged by what we saw in Indy? We'll take a look at that. I'm joined by Ron from Still Knick Fans. Check out him and John after this show, 10 o'clock. They also have a premiere Thursdays, the NBA report. I was going to say the MBK report. Same thing. NBA report. They do that Thursdays at 8 o'clock. I'm joined by Eru from Die Hard Knicks podcast. He actually does a show for every Knick game, halftime to crunch time. So halftime, tune into that. Watch the second half with Eru. He going to tell you just how he sees it, straight, no chaser. And later on, I'll be joined by State from New York Knicks, New York State podcast. He'll be here as well. I appreciate him. When I first started in this community, he asked me to be on his podcast. I was a little nervous because we have very different views as far as rookies and vets, team construction, but he was just on point in how he handled that interview. I felt very comfortable. It wasn't adversarial. And that's the way podcasts are supposed to be, in my opinion. So I'm going to return the favor today. All right. So let's get into it. Ron, Eru, how you fellas doing?
Doing great. Doing great.
Yeah, pleasure to be on the Queen's Court, man.
Man, you have a open invitation. I think Eru, one time I was watching his show, and again, I was new to the community. He was very straightforward about how he saw things. And one of the things he says is stop being so tight with your takes. Just say what you mean. People gonna like it or they're not, but be real about it. So I appreciate it. And that's pretty much, how I've been rolling, though. Lately I've been trying to be a bit more diplomatic. But anyway. Anyway, let's get into it. We're going to talk about last week's games. I'm going to summarize it really quick just to, refamiliarize ourselves with the games. So Wednesday we played Milwaukee. Knicks did a good job on Giannis. He only had 15 points. Connaughton killed us from 3, though, with 7 of them. Knicks had a sizable lead and just fell apart in the third quarter. Bench got us back into the game. Questionable call got us actually back within 4. Then there was a questionable call on Obi's dunk, and that was all she wrote. Knicks lost 100 to 112. Friday, we were in Charlotte. Kemba's homecoming. We got out to a big lead, 17 points in the first. Kemba actually had 17 points in the first quarter, 26 in the game. He really looked good. The mid-range shot, the three-pointer, finishing around the rim. We led us by as much as 16 points in the first half. Then that dreaded third quarter again. The bench got us back in the game. We went back and forth in the fourth quarter. And before you know it, Charlotte pulled away and won 96 to 104. RJ with 2 points, but he wasn't the only one stinking up the joint. And then Indiana, Indiana yesterday, we won actually 92-84, like an old school 90s Knick game, right? In the first half, there was more ball movement. There was more player movement. And shout out to Ron, who's here tonight from Still Knick Fans, who said they're going to have 2 days of practice. Tibbs is going to work with them. We're going to see something new. And we did in terms of the offense, in terms of the defense, and even in terms of the rotation. Our defense was better, low scoring first half, low scoring game, all around. Kemba looked like Kemba for the second game in a row. RJ still struggled, but hit 2 big shots in the fourth. And that's one thing about RJ. He stays with it. The bench looks sharp. IQ seems to be back. He has 16 point. Kimba looks spry again. That third quarter again. Burks great D on Brogdon. The Knicks held Indy without a field goal in the last 7 minutes of that game. And again, we won old fashioned style. So that was a review of the games, just in case you forgot, just kind of bringing your memory back. And now we're just going to talk about it. Ron, Eru, what are your observations, team wise or player wise, from this entire past week?
You
Ron, we'll
start, Ron.
start with you, and then we'll get to you.
Well, I would say, Milwaukee seemed like it was one of those games where we didn't, that dreaded non-effort from the Knicks. That was one of those games where they didn't I don't feel like they showed up in the way that I would have liked them to come out there and play. They seemed like they felt good about that first victory they had against Milwaukee. And it wasn't like it was one of those gimme victories because Giannis was there and they had just got back Portis and they had Drew Holiday was back. So I guess they felt good about themselves. And it felt like they went into that game thinking like it was just going to be a carbon copy of the first one. And I mean, even as fans, we all knew that was the revenge game. Milwaukee's definitely going to come out and try to play better and try to get this win, especially the way Giannis is. Giannis loves stuff like that. That's what, he uses these little things to motivate him. So I was kind of surprised at their effort. I thought that was, that was just really a bad game. I just didn't like the way they played at all. And I think if I'm correct, I mean, there's probably no. There's more than just that game, but that was like the first glaring game of that plus and minus thing. I know some people are getting sick of that whole thing, but it was glaring. Plus and minuses. If you look at the starters, they were horrible compared to the bench. The bench was good. So that was the first game that I really noticed that. And then we went into the Charlotte game. And I liked the fact that they came out there and they were trying to get Kimba, his just due, coming back to Charlotte, doing his thing, and they were feeding him. But then I thought that, I said it, that when Fournier came out with his comments about ISO ball and the fact that the Knicks need to move the ball more, I felt like, I don't know. Listen, personally, who knows what Randall thinks, but I felt like Randall got in his feelings. And I felt like he was feeding Kimba, but he took it upon himself to just keep feeding Kimba or feed whoever and let them do something. Kind of like one of those, all right, I get it. Maybe you think I'm doing too much. All right, well, I'm going to let you guys do the thing, and we'll see if we win the game. That's how I felt like he was playing because he passed. He didn't do it. It wasn't crazy or egregious, but there was one moment where he was on the court. It was like a close two. It wasn't a layup, but he could have easily shot it. No one was around, and he passed the ball. I was like, oh, boy, something's going on here. So, and that was another game where if you're going to play the bench versus the starters were horrible, and the bench was great. Even though Kimba had 26 points, I don't want to get plus or minus heavy, but if you looked at the plus or minus, he was a minus 23. So he basically negated, if you're looking at that stuff, he negated the 26 points that he added. And that's only because guys are just not doing enough on the court to affect the game, and the other team is scoring and breaking whatever lead you had and taking the lead from you. So, but it is what it is. And last thing I was going to say is the game against Indiana. I think they played a great game. I think everything they did was good. I think they played good defense, except for the third quarter was a little raggedy. They were a little all over the place. And their offense struggled. But I think if the Knicks hit their shots, this is a blowout. I think we're all looking at it like, wow, the Knicks, they did their thing. That's the only the bad part for me. Eru?
Yeah, man. Well, I was at that Milwaukee game, so I got to see the reaction from the fans, especially from myself, because I was bugging out, and the people that I was with my sister and her friends, so we kind of were like shouting out things. So everybody was in agreement. We were locked. We had Giannis in jail in that game, man. He just could not get in the paint, so we got the cheat code for him. We had it since last year, So anyway, we had him in jail or whatever, but we just kept leaving those 3-point shooters out. So I think that's the game plan, on defense to just lock the paint down and kind of let the guys shoot threes. Now, if you could fast forward to the Indiana game, and just in the way that the Knicks played them, Indiana was always on their heels every time they got a 3-point shot.
Right.
So that's gonna work sometimes, but a lot of times the Knicks make the mistake and give the other team confidence. So they're able to get that rhythm, and that's exactly what Milwaukee did. Milwaukee had so much rhythm in that game; it was like incredible. We were screaming when I tell you, they were screaming. The whole section was screaming. I was sitting right next to a couple of Knicks creators, man, was nearest to, man. We all screaming the same thing, man. So I just think right now the whole big problem is chemistry. That Indiana game, I thought they almost played a flawless game. I think the Randall and Fournier 2-man game, I think that's incredible. Randall was getting shots in places where he wasn't taking them before, a lot of closer shots. So I think he kind of he didn't really have the touch for those shots at the moment. So I think that's scary to me, because as soon as they figure that out, that's going to be incredible, because it's going to let Randall take his little breaks, and he'll be able to get little chippy points here and there. So when it's time for him to take over, he can do that. I also like Kemba setting the table the same way that Elfrid did the year before, except Elfrid set the table defensively. Kemba sets it offensively. So I kind of like him, taking the initiative offensively to start the games, because it's just a different look. And to add to the whole bench, the bench versus the starters, I think that's also another plus for us, because we play one way with the starters. Then when the bench comes in, they play a whole different way. So I think that's why the plus is a little bit higher when they come in, because the opposing team is like, wow, this is like a whole different thing now. So they got to change their whole game plan when that second unit comes in. So the big thing for me with all of this is that Tom Thibodeau has to figure out the rotation, because that Charlotte game, if it was that game, I think he brought the starters in with 3 minutes left in the game. So Julius Randle came in with 3 minutes left. RJ came in right after him. And before the game is over, because now you're asking Julius Randle to guard, Michael Bridges, who was hot already. He just took him off the dribble a couple times. Randle, I think, turned the ball over, easy, because he was ice cold. Tom Thibodeau iced his starters. So Tom Thibodeau needs to figure out when to put his starters in. I say it every single night, because it's halftime to crunch time is a show that I do, right? So at a certain point of the fourth quarter is crunch time. So you have to already have the guys that you want to finish the game in. A couple games before this, I mean, he put the starters in with 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, and then he couldn't take them out. And then there's another time where he had the bench guys out there, and he could even put Randall in the back in there, because that bench team stayed in there basically the whole fourth quarter. So Tom Thibodeau really has to figure out how he's going to mix in all these different personalities and whatever, because we do have the firepower, and we have the able defenders to take care of whatever defensively we need to do. So I think it's coming, but we just have to be patient with our guys, and I think that sooner or later, we're just going to be clicking on all cylinders, and we're really going to see a really, really good basketball team, I think.
Now, when you say we have the players to play defense on the team or in that first unit, like do you think that first unit, like what we saw in Indy, do you think that's a preview of what's to come? Like that's something that we can continue to do, because in there you don't really have to make changes in the first unit, right? The first unit did okay defensively. So is that what you're saying? We have it on the bench as a whole, or we have it in that first unit?
Well, as a team, just the team concept, you're talking about team defense and stuff. Like Fournier, I see a lot of people, getting on Fournier about his defense. But that first game against Boston, he played great defensively. I was sitting right next to State. State should be here soon. But I'm sitting next to State, and State says what he's gonna say. But he was like, "Yo, Ebru, do you see Fournier?" Fournier was picking up everybody, switching, staying with his guy, closing off lanes, and that type of different thing. So I mean that's really like the team concept. So I figure I think the Knicks could get away with it, the way that they play, just enough for their offense to do what it does. So, I'm just patiently waiting for that to happen. But everything is on a ticking thing, man. I hope it doesn't blow up in our faces.
Right. I mean, I think my observation from this week, the Indy game was good, right? So you don't want to it's almost like we had a 3-0 week, but it was a 1-2 week. That was the only game we won. That before the Indy game, whatever was going on with that starting unit seemed to be more than just them not gelling. They just seemed to be off because you think about it, they looked better in the first game of the season. They looked better
Right.
against Boston the first few games, and then all of a sudden, things fell off a little bit and it got really bad. That Indy game to me is, I'm hoping, a template and a preview of what's to come. That this team can play defense, right? This team can get after it. This team can move the ball, can move. Um, there could be player movement in the offense. Kemba looked good. Listen, he's not going to be a great defensive player, but if he does what he did in Charlotte and he does what he did, against Indy, that's going to help us. We're going to be a better team. I think, and I've said this before, Randall really has to play off the ball. I think that's going to help us tremendously. We saw it a few times in the Indy game that when he allowed others to set him up, he got easy shots. Some of them he didn't even take, but he got easy shots. So I feel like, pass the ball to Kimba, whatever, let them run the show, and you just play off the ball and get easy shots. I think if he does that, he's going to be more efficient in his game. He's trying to be the point guard. And I just felt like maybe we needed that last season, but this season we don't need that. We don't need to run the offense through him. We don't need him to facilitate. We don't need him to be the point guard, the point forward. We just need him. The ball is going to come to him. So I don't know if that's a concern. Like, I'm not going to get my points. The ball is going to come to him, but it's going to be an easier game if he's able to do that. I saw glimpses of that in the Indy, and I hope that continues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I
I
agree.
got an RJ question, but I'm gonna wait for State to get here. I'm gonna wait for State before I ask the RJ question. The bench. The bench has been stellar to say the least. They've played together. This is their second year, so of course they have the most chemistry. Would you risk some bench chemistry to add a player from the bench to the starting unit? Or do you think after having watched the Indy game that starting unit is going to be okay? Ebro,
Well,
and then we'll get to Ron. Yeah.
yeah, well, that starting unit, like I said, it's like we just have to wait for these guys to figure it out because it is two new starters in the backcourt. So I just like the way that we potentially that we could start the game off leading, giving it to the bench guys. But what's important, like Tom Thibodeau says, everybody says it, who finishes the game. So it seems that Tom Thibodeau likes Rose, he likes IQ, he likes Burks, and then whoever else is in the game depends on what's happening in the game. So it really comes down to that, man. So as long as the team has confidence in each other, and start to understand that this is what's happening. And then Tom Thibodeau has to figure that too. He has to figure out when these guys are coming in. That way, guys can know, just have an idea of how hard they need to go. That type of thing. Preserve themselves to get ready to pass the torch on to somebody else. So I think we'll figure it out. As time goes on. So I'm not really worried about it. This is like probably like the most excited I've been about a Knicks team in a long time.
Wow.
Just about the potential. The defense and all this other stuff. I just feel like all of it is right there, but we just we just got to be patient to for it to come to fruition. All the stuff.
Wow. Ron, and then let me shout out the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't want to say based on the Indiana game. That's the reason why I don't think that there needs to be a shakeup or a change from the bench to the starters. I think based on the fact that the Knicks had a practice. Like my whole thing, I think with the Knicks, practice makes wonders. I think practice is everything for Tibbs. I think when Tibbs sees stuff on the court that he doesn't like, or there starts to be a habit or a trend of things that are happening out there, I think it's hard for him to get the guys to correct it
Right.
game to game. I think when he gets those full practices in, where he can really go over their normal stuff that they do and then try to target the stuff that's not working, I think he has, like, it's almost like a master class. That's when Tibbs is at his best.
Right.
Sometimes we look at him in the game and, his rotations may not be great and all that stuff, but I don't think that's what makes him a good coach. I think it's his practices is what makes him a good coach. I think that's where guys learn his system. That's where he can instill things. That's where he can build on their characters. Like that's when he builds them up. So I think when the Knicks are, have a chance to get practices, I think they're in really good shape. So I'm assuming that these practices that they had this weekend, they can ride those practices and what they learned from that throughout the whole week. And I expect this to be a good week for them. And as far as the
It
bench
should
go, I
be.
mean, another example of that is look at freaking Burks. Burks is not one of those guys that I say, we point to guys on the court and we're like, oh man, this guy's dogging it. He's lacking effort. Burks usually always gives the same type of effort. But
Right.
the way he was locking up Brogdon, I mean, what am I missing here? Are you telling me now that you guys have practice, now he could play defense all of a sudden? No.
Right.
I think it's just the fact that whatever Thibodeau mentioned to the guys, whatever they were working on, really helped them figure out something. Maybe it's the way they're playing defense was wrong. Maybe they're leading guys the wrong way. They're not helping or they're looking for help, because a lot of these times the Knicks are out of position. And then this guy's pointing over there thinking, and you see Randall do this, like the guy goes right past them.
Right.
Sometimes I think they just their defensive philosophy, they lose it a little bit. So
Right.
I think they'll be okay. I don't think they need to make a change. I think this week is the test. After this week, that's a different story.
Well, I don't know how much we're gonna learn this week. They're playing Orlando and who is it? Houston.
Yeah.
But I had a question for you. The season is long. The games are jam-packed, back to back to back. I'm not sure how much time Tibbs is going to have to have practices.
Right.
I mean, I get it. He's good when he's making his adjustment in practice. But what about in the game? Like, is there any concerns about his in-game adjustments? You know what I mean? Like, okay,
Oh,
I
there's
think he's
concerns.
yeah, I
Big
think
time.
he's good from game to game, right? Like the Indy game, he put Randall on Miles Turner. He put the big on he put who was it? The bigs on Sabonis. But he couldn't have did that in the first game. After he hit like 2 or 3, 3-pointers. We have to wait until the second game to make the adjustment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of practice time where you're going to be able to say, all right, we're going to wait till practice to make these adjustments. Any concerns about the in-game adjustments? State, I saved the RJ question for you. I didn't even want to get into it until you got here.
Well, your point about the days off and stuff, I agree with you, because this is the first time we had back-to-back days off the whole season. It's always been, every other day we were playing. We even had a back-to-back on the 7th and the 8th. So for the rest of the month, we just had a weekend off. We have the 18th and the 19th off. Then we'll have the 24th and the 25th off. We also had the 28th and the 29th off. So this will be like a nice little stretch where we can possibly get these refreshers that you're talking about, because that's what it is. Basically, time for the team to sit together and watch tape and
Right.
clean things up, man. So hopefully this will be a nice time to really speed things up there.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. State, how are you?
Good evening. How you doing? How's everybody?
Good.
How y'all doing?
What's good?
We
Steve?
good. We good.
I'm so happy to see y'all after a win. I'm so blessed.
Yeah. You would have been dragging yourself in here sulking had we lost, huh?
Nah, not even sculpting. It's just when you look at this team, like, I expect better. And last game, I've been screaming adjustments. Okay, he throw the small ball lineup out there. Cool. But leave your bench in a little bit more. Like, I just want to see more adjustments. That's the only thing that be killing me.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I'm good.
And I think that small ball lineup, though, was more out of necessity because Mitch went out. I'm wondering if Mitch had not went out, would we have seen that small ball lineup?
Good point.
Honestly, no. If you want to add, honestly, no. Because the only time we see the small ball lineup is when Nerlens and Mitch is out.
Right.
Because he plays Taj Gibson. I mean, I would like to see. I would hope he played him more, because Mitch is always hurt. I'm so over Mitchell Robinson. Like, that's a whole other concept. I'm just over.
Yeah, I think the basketball guys are over it too, man, because they've been hurt all year. Nerlens been hurt all year. Mitch can't stay on the floor. So the basketball guys want to see the small ball lineup too.
Yeah, you
Right.
know what? I actually thought that we would use the small ball lineup as a weapon, like not just out of necessity, that we would use it as a weapon because even if, we were at a disadvantage in some places, that the net positive would be there. And I thought that would be the only way for Obi to get extra minutes. He's playing behind Randall. If you don't play small ball, he's limited to 10, 12 minutes a game. So it's been a bit disappointing that we haven't used it more. Let's see. I mean, I'm not even sure if Mitch is going to make it through the season. Um, the way, like every 2 or 3 games, it's like it's a serious injury. But anyway, State,
Mhm.
any observations for this past week? We were 1-2.
So I'm kind of glad that we won this game because I get to, sleep on that win and then think about the losses. The main thing with me is just adjustments. I get tired of seeing Randall ISO at the top of the key. Like it's very annoying when Leon Rose spends all the cap space, and a trend that is happening is every starter has been a net negative the last 3 games, and every bench player has been a net positive. So that got to change. Like I just would like to see more flow to the offense. A wrinkle in last game. Kemba Walker, Julius Randle pick and roll. There should be no reason why I should not be seeing this 250-pound monster not rolling to the rim. It should be no reason why. And I think Randle shoots 70+% at the rim. I think he does. So keep that man rolling to the rim. Like enough with the Randle ISO. All right, if you want to bring up the ball, just only do it after a rebound. Like I don't want to see him initiating sets. That should be Kemba Walker's job. He got to play better though, because I only seen him play 3 good games out of this whole season. If we want to be honest, I'm talking about Kemba Walker, what we expect from him, and what we've seen from thou I shall not name right now because it's pointless. But what we've seen from guys in the past,
Mm-hmm.
we should expect better. But I guess we're gonna let him rock because he's from the city in his first year here. So
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about Randall rolling is Mitch is there. Like we don't have bigs that can stretch the floor. So if he rolls, it's only but so far he's going to be able to roll before he comes into contact with Mitch's guy. But still, even in the mid post, if he rolls a little bit, he can still, with the ball, either take a short jumper or pass it, facilitate there. But I don't know about rolling all the way to the basket because Mitch just doesn't stretch the floor. Neither does Noel.
Can I present all of y'all a question, please?
Yeah, sure.
So is Taj doing what we would want Mitch to do? Because Taj
Absolutely.
spaces the floor and he
Absolutely.
plays hard. And I apologize to Taj Gibson. No, I said Taj Gibson should be in a business suit. That's exactly what I said. That was very disrespectful because he's actually saving this.
I think it said a little bit more colorful than that, man.
As
I'm glad you're on your
usual.
best behavior.
Oh God.
Listen,
but-
we all have takes that didn't age well, right?
Yeah. We wouldn't be doing it if that didn't happen. But the
Yeah.
most important thing with Taj is that he's able to like he's able to seal off his not only his man, but to get his own rebound, but he seals it up to the point where someone else can get the rebound. There's
Right.
little things that he does, able to get the rebound, take a step, maybe spin, make a layup, spin move, whatever, foul line jump shots, little
Right.
things like that. He's able to be active in that way. And Mitchell Robinson simply doesn't have that. Neither does
And he
Noel.
also makes screens that make contact. I don't think Mitch makes contact maybe on 1% of the screens he sets. Like he makes no contact.
And if
You
he
know?
makes contact, it's a legal screen.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that. That's what he does.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to that point, Taj is very crafty and he does a lot of good things down there on the court.
Right.
He's just a skilled player when it comes to that stuff. And he uses his ability to make up for whatever limitations he has. If he's not as tall, he can't leap. He's smart. He boxes you out, He moves you around to the point where you're caught in between, so you can't do anything to. He always has the advantage when he does that.
Right.
The other thing is, even though Noel doesn't do what Taj does, Noel does do a couple things that I like. He's very quick. He's like a cat to stuff. And he's adopted the Tyson Chandler, to slap the rebound to your teammate. If I can't put my hands on it, at least I would love for Mitch to do a little, anything, just a tiny bit of this stuff. Yeah, right. Mitch still got a lot to learn.
Yeah, I mean, well, he has a lot to learn as well. Then he has the physical issues, and with the injury, he just doesn't look as quick. But he gave great effort yesterday, like starting out, before he got injured. He was a bit more active, but you can see the weight is just holding him down. He's just not moving the same. He's not getting off his feet the same way. So the Knicks have to make a decision on Mitch, whether they're gonna pay him or not. And right now, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for him. Shout out to the, in my opinion. Shout out to the chat. Sima Singh, Geraldine MacGyver, appreciate you. Lex the Destroyer, appreciate you. God Up Nick, salute, appreciate you. Jay Williams. Everybody's in the chat. The chat is active. I appreciate you.
Hey,
Sam,
can I give
of course, you David L. Yes.
The Knicks are now 34-19 since Taj Gibson rejoined the Knicks.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, bring Mo Bamba home, man. Go ahead. Bring Mo Bamba.
Listen, Mo Bamba's stock is up. If you wanted to get him, you should have went last season and got him. Right now, his stock is up. It's going to take a lot to pry him away from
That's a fact.
Orlando. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we're still talking about this week. I want to talk a little bit about RJ, but I want his State to be here because I know he's a huge RJ fan, as are a lot of people, myself included, even though I think I'm more even keeled when it comes to RJ. He struggled this past week, though he did hit two or three big shots in that fourth quarter. And that's one thing I like about RJ, whether he's playing well or he's not playing well, mentally he stays in it, and that's the only way. And he stays confident, because if he didn't stay confident, he would not have he would have ran from those shots in the fourth quarter, right? So he's a very confident guy. In general, if you go back to that 5-game, 20-point stretch that he had, did we crown him too soon, or is he just having a bad stretch? And by crowning him, meaning during that 5-game stretch, we were all saying, or most of us were saying, that RJ had arrived. RJ is our second option. And to me, the second, and some people were even saying first. And what that means to me is you can count on this guy. Yeah, you can. Oh, I didn't even hear State say it, but I've heard people in the chat say it. What that means to me is this is somebody you can count on game in and game out. When you look at Portland and you see McCollum, game in and game out. Middleton, game in and game out. I'm not saying they don't have bad games, but you can count on that number 2, game in and game out. So, do you think we crowned him too soon, or not really? He's just having a bad stretch right now. State, I'm gonna start with you.
Honestly, I think we should give him that energy, because the media already gives him enough help. And I understand it. Like, I got this. RJ Barrett, the last 4 games prior to the last game, he's averaging 8 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 26% from the field, 60% from 3, 60% from the free throw line. And he was stinking it up. But the one thing that people can say about RJ is he never stops hustling. That motor's on 1,000 every time. So I never gotta sit here and say, RJ's not playing hard. He's just missing. He's just missing. I remember I was talking to, shout outs to my man Uncle Freezy, man. I was on a panel with like 5 people. RJ was in that 1 to 21 slump. People were saying G League RJ, trade RJ. Right after that, he proceeds to shoot 40% from 3 the whole season. So I'm not really too concerned about it. I was more concerned with the big dog not running back on defense. That's what I was more concerned with. Like, what was wrong with the big dog? Like, I need 2020 number 30. Like, I don't need that 2019 guy, because that 2019 guy can't lead a third year RJ. Because how the big dog not hustling back with you trying to get on the 21-year-old. So, but he did stink it up. And I'm not worried about RJ, man. We just gotta, keep rooting for him and keep giving him that energy. But yes, we did crown. A lot of us crowned them too early, and I understand it. It's the highest pick since Ewing, so this is the highest pick of my lifetime. So I love RJ. I know, but yeah, we did.
Okay, Ron, and then Eru.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I'm a big RJ fan. Like RJ is one of my favorite play. I mean, he's my favorite player on this current Knicks team. I definitely think we crowned him. I was out the gate. I was like, you know what? I think RJ's here. I don't think RJ's ever gonna score less than 20 points going forward. I was all in. So yeah, I definitely crowned him early. So yeah, I needed to temper that. And after watching what he's done in these last couple games, I'm going to say right now he's not ready. That doesn't mean that I don't think by the end of the season he won't be ready.
Correct.
But I think right now he's not ready. It is not because of the fact that he's shooting jumpers and they're not going in. It's how he's playing. Like certain things RJ does right now on the court that I've seen, I don't understand. His layup package right now is garbage. Like if it was 2K, I wouldn't use that. Like I don't know what's happening, especially when he goes to his right hand on the right side. Like I'm like, RJ, are you trying to get the ball in the rim or are you just trying to draw a foul? I don't know what he's doing. So sometimes I look at him, like yesterday's game, he went up and I think it was Sabonis. And no, it wasn't Sabonis. It was that backup dude. Anyway, the point is he went up and he just went up soft and the dude just basically batted the ball down out his hands. Like he didn't even get the shot up. I'm like, yo, RJ, you strong. To me, I think RJ, I don't know if there's something going on when he gets close to the rim. He's just not aggressive. So, and I'm looking at that and I'm saying like, yo, what can we do to fix this, brother? Because, I'm like, you got to try to make it seem like you want the ball to go in the rim. Don't just try to get fouled. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's just not ready yet. But I think you're going to see that the next couple games, I have a feeling RJ is going to turn it around. He's going to get back to where he was earlier. Then we'll start the conversation again. But he's too inconsistent for me to say he's here yet. I gotta temper that those expectations. And just to your point, State, I agree. Usually RJ is the type that hustles out the gate throughout the whole 4 quarters. But in that Milwaukee game, he took some time off during the game, and Tibbs saw it, and that's when he pulled them along with the other stars. He wasn't happy with anybody in that one. So, yeah, but most of the time he's got a great motor.
Yeah, I mean, I've always taken an even approach to RJ. I think that he's gonna get there in his own time. I'm not quite sure, he's trash, he's not gonna ever be anything, or he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I think it's gonna take him some time. It's very hard to be consistent in this league, game in and game out, and that's the hardest thing for young guys, to be consistent. 21 game, 8 the next. He was actually pretty consistent last year after that slump. So I think he's trying to find his way. My issue with RJ right now is not even his shooting. It's not even statistically. He just doesn't look the same. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one thing to miss shots. It's going to happen. You're going to go into a slump. You're going to miss shots, but you're going to take your shots. You're going to go strong. You're going to miss. It happens to the best of them. I think that New Orleans game, if you pull that game up, like that's the template for RJ. He, just his aggressiveness, how he mixed up his shots, and how he waved Randall off a few times. Like, I got it. I'm gonna take it. And since this little slump, the shots he's taking, not being very aggressive when we're down, not saying, no, I'm gonna get us a basket. We need a basket, give me the ball, I'm gonna get it. And that's what I was seeing during that stretch. So that's what I'm more concerned about, more so than him like missing shots and not having a
Mhm.
statistical good game. Eru, any thoughts on any of this?
Well, I agree with everybody. Everybody's take is a little slightly different, but I agree with everybody. I feel like RJ Barrett, he's played great all year. He has his in the beginning he was the defensive stopper type of thing.
Yeah.
Then he had his little part where he was scoring. I think all this is gonna come into play throughout the whole season to get us to that 82 game. But with the way that he played last night, it just went along because I have this running joke that he's like Sandman because it's like when he runs, his feet are still connected to the ground. And like lately, I'm noticing defensively, especially that Bucks game, and the Indiana game, just basic moves that guys are doing. It's like making him look like a wobbly noodle out there. Something's going on with his legs. I really don't know what's going on.
He's
So I don't
looking
know if
like a
maybe
mini Mitch.
yeah, maybe
Mm.
it could be like shin splints or something like that, or some kind of like stress
Mm,
injury that maybe he's playing
mm.
through, or something like that. So that's what I'm worried about because a couple layups, he had a couple layups where he was coming in and guys were just spiking it out his hands or just bumping him off his square. Something that RJ's known for sealing guys off, with his strength. And then just the last few games, I feel like people have been knocking him off his square. Something's going on with his legs to me. So with all that said, I'm not worried about RJ. He played terrible last night, but the thing about it, he sticks with it. Somebody mentioned confidence. He has that natural Jamaican confidence about him. That nothing could go wrong. He's always always doing the right thing. So I just think that came into play. He was able to get that dunk. He was able to get 2 threes back to back, just playing within the offense and just letting the ball come to him, type of thing, not trying to do something too crazy. Because when he does that's when we're in trouble. Because I really don't think that he's there yet creatively. Creating space against people or like being a decision maker type of thing. He kind of really needs to just fall back and just let that offense come to him. Because when he has it going, he can actually produce in those spots. So spots where where he was so successful this week, he'll be able to do that later on. He just has to keep working. So I think between him and Randall, RJ and Randall, then both of those two guys, I think I think you said it, Steph. Like the balls, when he gives the ball up, it comes back to him. It's like a magnet. So Randall's always going to get his shot. Same thing with RJ. I think if RJ just plays, the way he's been playing, pacing himself, whatever, when that ball comes to him, he'll get those opportunities. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not really worried about RJ. I think he'll be fine.
Oh, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine as well. I think, we're asking him a lot to do a lot. Score efficiently, score at a certain clip every single night, and guard the best opponent wing player and do it well, right? It's going to take some time for him to, to do that. And yeah, at this point, I think as far as the number one, number two, is just by committee on any given night. It's going to be it's going to be something different. All right, let's take a look at our offense. Our offensive rating has dropped considerably since the start of the season. The first 7 games when we were 5-2, we were third in offensive rating, 113.5 points a game. Now, overall, we're still 7. We're still in the top 10, 109.5. But over the last 7 games, we're 21, right? 105.2. And so that's what happens sometimes. Like you look at the stat and you just see the averages and you think you're doing okay. Oh, we're 7th. Oh, that's good. Our offense is great. But actually, we're 21 over the last 7 games. And we don't even need stats to tell us that, right? The eye test could tell us that the offense, hasn't been great. But these are our stats through 14 games. Points, we're 16th at 108.4. Field goal attempts, 88.8 field goal attempts. So our pace is not, that great. We're shooting 44.6%, which is 19. We're getting up 37.5 3-point attempts, which is 10th in the league. And we're shooting it very well, 36.8. That's 4th in the league. So I think that was what happened last year. We shot it very well. And this year they wanted to make an attempt to put more of them up. Free throws, we're 23rd in the league at 75.1. We get to it 9th in the league. We're top 10 in getting to the line, but we're shooting 75.1%. And our pace is back down pretty much to where it was last year, 27. So the question I have is, do you think what we saw against Indiana, that ball and player movement, is a preview of what we can expect going forward from our offense?
Man, I don't know. Tibbs is suspect, man. Tibbs, because Tibbs, he'll come out, he'll run this lineup this game, and then he'll go back to the same lineups he went to before the next game, but win the game, and then run that lineup again, and then lose the next 3 games. No, no, it's Tibbs. So I hope he does. I mean, Mitchell Robinson might be healthy tomorrow, hopefully, because I only seen that Nerlens Noel is out, so hopefully Mitchell Robinson is out. But we'll see. We'll see. I hope. I'm
Right.
praying.
But do you think the offense is moving the ball and moving the player is dependent on, who's in the game? Like, or do you think anybody can do that in terms of moving the ball, moving and player movement?
No, because you can see the apparent chemistry between the bench compared to the starters. And then the plus minus shows in the eye test matches. So we seeing Manu quickly kill, and I hope we get to talk about him soon, because he's just been that boy is really he could really be so good, but we gonna see.
All right. Eru, Ron, do you think what we saw against Indiana is something that is a preview of things to come in terms of the offense beginning to flow again?
Well, I just want to talk about the bench a little bit. The bench is the second year playing together. So they did play with each other last year. So this year they basically just finishing off what they did last year. Obi got better quickly. It seemed like he's starting to get better. So they just have that knack. Rose feeds off of quickly. Burks kind of plays good with these guys, man. So they have that they already have that chemistry. So they don't really have much to go to develop as a group. But that starting lineup is they just added Kemba and Fournier. Kemba's used to being a high usage guy, constantly dribbling. He's usually the Julius Randle out there, but now they're asking him to be Alfred, basically. Stand on the side and wait for Julius Randle to give you the ball. So the last couple games, Kemba's been a lot more aggressive. So I expected that to evolve. And also too, like I mentioned, also that Julius Randle Fournier 2-man game is incredible to me. Right. I think that's really going to get us going. And then, and the way that they were doing it too against Indiana, Julius wasn't making his shots, but that it was working. But then whenever those two guys weren't doing 2-man, Kemba was getting busy on the other side. So I thought they did a good job mixing the two styles of play at the same time. I thought that was great. So I think that's going to get better as time goes on.
Right. That's what I saw too in the first. I'm sorry, Ron, I'm gonna get right to you. That's what I saw also in the first half. And that's what got me encouraged about the offense, seeing that 2-man game, seeing Randall making it harder than it needed to be. He was right there, that those are easy shots. Seeing Kemba being aggressive. I mean, this is one thing I will say about Randall. He has his flaws and his faults, don't get me wrong, but he's a willing passer. He's not trying to me, I think he's passing too much. I think that, I don't need you facilitating. Like I said earlier, I don't need you facilitating. I need you getting to your spots receiving the ball. And the only time you need to pass it is if you're double teamed. We have Kemba now, just like, you were saying, Kemba's used to being that guy who could facilitate an offense. Let him do it. It's going to make it easier. It's going to make it easier for him. But Ron, you were going to say?
Well, just to your point about Randall, I would agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that Tibbs always has the ball in Randall's hands. He's got him bring the ball up the court. He's got Randall asking for the ball to get it out. And it's not like Tibbs is telling him no or backing him off. So obviously he wants Randall to be able to do that. And if that's the case, then Randall has to pass the ball because he's going to stagnate the offense by himself. So, and, last year Randall averaged around 6 assists a game. So that means in some games that number was a lot higher. So he's definitely been a facilitator. He does pass the ball a lot, and he was able to have some really good numbers last year. I think this year the issue is just and it's not that many. There's 2 new pieces, but the offense is just totally different. Actually, it's 3 new pieces because you got Fournier and Kimba and a healthy Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
So it makes things different for Randall out there. And I think that's really what's throwing him off. It's just he's not comfortable now. In the beginning, when the season first started, I thought Fournier and not the Boston game. Forget the Boston game. That was a good game. I thought Kimba and Fournier weren't comfortable, and I thought Randall was fine. But as time has gone on, now you see the reverse starting to happen. Randall's not comfortable, and these guys are still not where they need to be. So, but I think everybody's going to be fine. I think what you saw against Indiana is sustainable, at least for the next 2 games against Orlando and Houston. So I think you should be able to see that. And I also think that ball movement they came out with and actually using Kimba in a 2-man game with 2-point shots is big because he's a really good 18-foot, 20-foot shooter. So why not use him in that role? I think Tibbs is like, yo, we're not taking advantage of this guy. He knocks these things down. So I think that definitely is what they should do, and I think that's going to help that starting lineup. The only thing I think happened is because they weren't hitting their shots all night. When they got to the 3rd quarter and they're still trying to run this offense and the shots ain't falling, they start to be like, well, what are we going to do? Randall starts to think, now I got to do something different. And that's when they get stagnant and things start to fall apart. And you saw, we're watching the Knicks defense, but it's not just the Knicks defense in that 3rd quarter. I think if I was correct, from the end of the 3rd quarter to the beginning of the 4th quarter, they went about 4.5 minutes with nobody scored a basket. It was 74-71 for like 4.5 minutes. So I think it's sustainable, but they still got some work to do, and they got to start getting comfortable again with their shots. Too many guys are tensing up. For the whole team the whole starting lineup to be missing wide open shots. Yeah, definitely they're stressed out about something. It's pressure going on.
Yeah, we could have easily scored over 100 points, and they too, because they missed a lot of shots. They missed a lot of shots as well. I mean, I think as far as Fournier is concerned in his offense, he's getting shots. He's just not hitting them, and we say this every game. At some point, he has to start knocking them down because that's going to add another dimension to our team.
And shout out, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say a quick point about what you said about Fournier. See, that's the thing too. We're looking at Fournier's shots and some of Kimba's shots, especially Fournier though. We're like, he's wide open. Why is he? But then when Fournier goes back to those same comments that Fournier said about the ISO ball and it's not moving it and getting good shots for people. Fournier's mind, those shots may not be good. He may be taking them because he's open and you're supposed to shoot. But that may not be the shot that he wants to take. Maybe he wants something closer. Maybe he wants a different angle, a different spot on the court. And that's maybe it plays into it.
Yeah, the rhythm too. He's not getting the shots in the rhythm that he enjoys.
Right. Because he keeps saying that they're not moving the ball and they're not getting good shots. So I don't know what he means by that. He must mean where he likes the ball.
Yeah, I got a stat for y'all. The Knicks is now 6-1 this season when they dish out at least 22 assists. The Knicks are 2-5 when they finish with 20 assists or less. Carmelo Anthony is the Knicks assist leader this decade. That's disgusting. He's a small forward. He's a small forward.
Yeah, but a lot of that is on the front office too, in terms of how they're constructing these teams. I really thought point guard was going to be top priority at the beginning of free agency, and obviously it wasn't. Or maybe it was, and those guys just didn't want to come. I know Ron said Lonzo wanted to go to Chicago, so it's possible that Dinwiddie wanted to go to Washington to play with Beal, his friend. So maybe there was no options for the Knicks. But I think in some cases, I think you have to overpay. Even if that's in a trade, to overpay to get a position that's a need, and it's been a need for us for a very long time. But anyway, the last question I want to get into our defense really quick. Okay, I'll ask it now. Do you think this team, as presently constructed with no changes, is a playoff team? I guess not, State.
I mean, tell us what you really think, State.
When I get off air, I'm gonna text my bro, and I'm gonna text him, yo, I got $100 that if Thibodeau keeps the same starting 5 out for the next couple weeks, we will not be in the playoff picture. We won't even be. We got to make a change. I don't see this sustainable, honestly. So,
well, let me ask you: you want to make a change in terms of bringing in through a trade, or you want to make a change to that starting lineup in terms of bringing someone off the bench into the starting lineup?
Changing the starting lineup is not realistic to me because I know Tibbs not going to do it. If he didn't pull Alfred after I done sat there with Dahar, I just sat with Dahar there 30 plus times, and I just talked about Alfred Payton every time. Come on now, come on, Mister. So you know how I feel about it. I only got to see I'm good.
Okay. Ron, don't hold back, Stay. It's all right. I mean, you can say it. You can say what you
I
feel.
don't think so. We gotta make a trade. I was talking with Apollo like last week, and I was telling Dawg the other day, we gotta make a trade. The answer is not on this roster. If we keep putting out the same starting 5, I understand we beat Indiana. All right, it's cool. You keep throwing out this starting 5, they cannot defend at all. And it's evident every game, like they're in a net negative. So if I'm Leon Rose and I'm looking at this roster, I'm already looking at a deal because will Tibbs play Grimes? Probably not. So what's the next option? Trade, because we're capped out. That's like one of the extra options. Now, the next question is Miss Steph.
Oh my God, he said Miss Steph. All right. I'm gonna
the next question is, who is that person that will be on the market that can help the Knicks defense? Now, I don't want to say no names, right? But we gonna talk soon. We gonna if they keep trying out this starting lineup, yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is you're not encouraged by what you saw in Indiana. You think that this starting lineup is just not good enough defensively, and let's not get fooled by the Indiana game. Okay.
I don't even want to see this starting lineup in the first round playoffs. They will get destroyed.
But let me just shout out Sam. He said, "Hey, State, clearly Alfred had a role. Look at our point of attack defense right now." So, I mean, I can't speak for him, but what I think he's trying to say is he wasn't good offensively, but he helped keep those point guards out of the lane, and that helped our defense.
So State wants us to trade for Alfred Payton. That's what he wants.
Yo, if you don't have me one of these goddamn bags, man, sitting up here. Man, don't stop, man.
Well, you said you wanted a defender. So, like, who's that defender?
Yo, I ain't gonna say nothing, man. We just need whatever perimeter defenders out there. We need to. If y'all think Ron, Miss Steph, you can answer your own question. Y'all think y'all could trot that Kemba Walker every 4 year out there in the playoff series? You be my guest. Let's see what happens. If you think that's, I mean,
at the same time, we got to score too, man. And this guy Tom Thibodeau's still a coach, so we're still gonna have Julius Randle bringing the ball up off a rebound, trying to set up his own post position, and we're gonna see it 6 straight times, you know. With even if you make a trade or not. So there's a lot of things that need to kind of change on this, just with everybody, just to get everything going the right way.
And I know the perfect trade partner.
Oh, why are you holding out, man?
Well, why are you holding out?
The Knicks should trade with Orlando. That's the perfect trade partner. I can't say nothing. I can't.
He don't want to jinx it. Come on, man.
Nah, man. It's just
you think the Brooklyn Nets is listening? What's going on?
The Nets is getting slapped around. Matter of fact, let's talk. Wait, hold on. Before you go, Miss Steph, hold on. You gotta extend this 10 minutes. Hold on. We got clowned for not getting Durant and Kyrie. I remember that. I remember talking to Dahard at least a week after that, and I was annoyed. We got clowned for a year straight. We won 21 games after that. The Nets right now have a fat margin Bull James Harden, out of weight, out of sight, out of mind. I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. You got Cuckoo Kyrie who needs to get vaccinated. And you got a guy in Durant who's not a leader. And we got clowned for that. So I just want to say thank you, Leon Rose. I appreciate you.
All right, let me get to these super chats. Shout out to KJW Events. I appreciate you. He does the show with Devon over at Knicks Real Talk. I would put Burks in for Fournier right now on the starting lineup. I mean, this is what I'm saying. If I also think that the answer to our issues is not on this roster, and I also think that we need to make personnel changes. I'm a little encouraged by the Indiana game, but I'm gonna really know when we play Chicago. No matter what we do against Orlando, no matter what we do, other than losing, I mean, we better not lose. But even if we win those games, I'm not gonna be that encouraged, right? We play Chicago Sunday. That's the game where I want to see if what we did against Indy is sustainable, right? So I'm definitely looking for that. But if we're gonna make some in-house changes, I'm okay with giving up a little bit of chemistry for that second team to help the first team. Because people are like, oh, we got to keep the second team against. But if the first team remains like this, it's going to be a problem. Now, what I do like about Thibodeau is he kind of knows the second team is the strength. So what he's been doing is playing Randall and RJ with that second team. You know, like they have chemistry. Let me throw RJ in there with them. Let me throw Randall in there with them. And you'll see three players from the bench. That's one way of like trying to capitalize off of the chemistry that they have. But I'm okay with risking a little bit of chemistry in that second unit to help the first unit if we need it. I'm a bit encouraged by the Indy game, so I say give this a little more time. But if we need it, I'm okay with that. What about you guys? You're okay with giving up a little bit of chemistry on that second team, or just let the first unit just continue to stink?
Yeah,
No,
I think
I'm
we
okay
just
with
gotta
it.
keep it the same way. Yeah, I'm okay with the way things are going too.
Yeah, I agree. Let them drown out there. Sorry.
Oh, you talking about for a different reason.
No. See, come on with the agendas. Come on now, everybody. but you know,
But why you want the first team to drown though?
Huh? No, I
Why
don't
do
want the. Wait, that's on Tim's because I don't really like. Secretly, I really think the coach is right next to him. I think he keeping the seat warm. But Tibbs, he's cool, but I don't think he the guy like that takes us to the promised land. I just think he just get this off the ground. I think he's like a second round ceiling with him. And then
Might be
when you
right.
get to that point, reach that point, like, all right, now we got to make the offense Mark Jackson. You got to make the offense dynamic, and boom. So,
But I don't think Johnny Bryant is going to be that guy who's never coached in the NBA to take us to the next level. You think?
yo, I'm about to say something so blasphemous. I think Mark Jackson gonna be the next head coach, man. There's no way you pass up Mark Jackson, man. I don't think after Thibodeau, it's no way. I think you don't give Johnny O. I don't think you give Johnny O. You don't give Johnny O this roster in this market. Is no other coach after Tibbs when you thinking past him, because he's 63. What coach would you want coaching this team, coaching RJ and those boys in the future? There's only one man I could think of that's not going to. But let's wait and see. Maybe Thibodeau, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Thibodeau does bring us to the promised land. But playing Randall 12 minutes straight every first quarter ain't going to do that. You know, playing your starters too many minutes and then keeping them on the bench for the whole fourth quarter, bringing them back in at 3 minutes left in the game. You don't win games like that. You want to win regular season games? Okay, Tibbs, that's on you. You could be a regular season Hall of Fame regular coach. That's cool. I'm trying to win playoff games. And to win playoff games, you got to learn how to adapt. One example, Miss Steph, you could go. I watched Tyronn Lue last played last year playoffs, this year playoffs. He benched Rajon Rondo for Terrence Mann. No way in God's green earth would Tibbs ever do that. So it's a wait and see for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm encouraged though by some of the things he's doing now. But you're right. He has his way of doing things, and he's that old school. I'm gonna go down with my starters like that Pat Riley Stark shooting 2 for 18, and he's still in there popping. Like he was 17 for 18, and Pat Riley is from that school. I'm gonna go down with my guys, and Tibbs has a lot of that actually. I do think in the playoffs, though, we just weren't. Some of it was Randall, and some of it was just not having the team around him. There's another super chat that I lost. Here we go. Zoe was willing to come. Front office didn't want to pay $20 million. Listen, in free agency, by the time it's time to sign players, they already did their homework. They already know who's interested, who's not interested. All of that is done well before free agency signing period starts. Eru?
Yeah, he was like the first guy
Thank you for the
signed too.
super chat. What is that? 1975 Jamrock. Appreciate you. Go ahead. Ebro.
Yeah. Zoe, he was like one of the first people signed, if not the first person signed in the offseason. So that was already predestined right there. They already knew that he was going there and they was going to act accordingly.
But it could be true though that the reason he went there because they felt the Knicks out from the beginning, and that they knew the Knicks weren't willing to pay $20 million.
Right.
Well, and I also think that maybe it was also the fact that Zoe can have more control of the offense and the team in Chicago than he would under Tibbs in New York. Like Tibbs ain't letting Zoe do certain things. How Tibbs is a control freak when it comes to certain things. So. And that's a little bit of a problem too. I think he'll only defer to legit NBA veteran point guards that he deems, good enough to run teams like the Roses. But the only thing with Rose is that he's not a facilitator really. He's a scorer. But guys like that, the Chris Pauls, the Lowrys, those guys, Tibbs will let them do their thing. But these younger guys like Lonzo had one real good season, which was last year. All the stuff before, he was very inconsistent. He had flashes, he had moments, but last year it looks like he finally put it together. He got paid off of it. And, maybe the Knicks weren't really willing to take that chance with him, not knowing if he's going to be able to sustain that. But looks good to me right now, I'll tell you that.
But they took a chance with Kemba, though. I mean, Tibbs is getting, a lot of slack, but we got to talk about that front office too. Like they constructed this team. You can't tell me Tibbs went in the office banging down the door for Kemba and Fournier. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, well, that's the style of player that he likes at point guard, though. Going back to Derrick Rose, having a Kemba Walker as like a more of an offensive kind of a point that he really likes those type of guys. And then just to talk about Zoe again, when he went to Chicago, I thought he was going to be like the Magic Johnson, but they really got him doing the same thing because DeRozan is their primary ball handler now. Still, he's like their lead assist man and all this other stuff, and Zoe is still kind of playing that defender 3-and-D guy over there in Chicago. Still,
he is. Yeah. He's definitely is. Shout out to 1975 Jamrock again. No, it's the same reason they didn't trade for him.
Miss Steph.
Talking about ball.
Miss Steph. Can I give? I think it was you.
Hey, with the miss, you could drop that.
I think it was hard too. I want to give y'all flowers.
Okay.
DeMar DeRozan is cold.
But
It's
see,
so good.
people were sleeping on him because he couldn't hit a 3-point shot, and he does take. He's taking them now, but still not taking a lot of them though. But
I gotta throw State under the bus. State was sleeping on him, but now he's a believer now. I told you, man.
His footwork is so elite. It's the footwork.
He's the mid-range maestro. This is what I believe. And listen, you could say Fournier was the better fit, and I agree with that. He's a better fit. But you need alphas to play in that starting unit with Randall. You can't be surrounding him with nice guys. That's not gonna wave him off. That's not gonna say no, I got it. And that's what he's in that starting lineup with those kind of guys. That's why if you change that lineup, if you do put, you got to put Rose in. Rose don't care what Randall is saying or doing. Neither does Burke. Neither does IQ. They're gonna take their shots no matter what. That's who you need in that starting lineup with Randall. And if you do bring somebody in, State, I agree with you. I don't think the solution is on this roster. You got to bring in an alpha. You can't bring, because otherwise Randall is still going to do the same thing. He has a very strong personality. And I agree with you, Ron. I think it's on Tibbs. It's on Tibbs to say, we don't need you handling the ball like that. Like, just let these guys set up and facilitate for you. He must not be saying it. And it's not even about Randall bringing the ball up. You look all over the league. Somebody else will bring the ball up. But when they get to the top of the key, what do? They hand it to the playmaker and they get to their spot. So it's not about him bringing it down. It's about, even when he doesn't bring it down, he right there at the top of the key, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And in all fairness, he will swing it. He won't take the shot. But the point is, he just feels like the ball has to be in his hands all the time. And last season, yes. This season, I don't think we need it. I think you could play, off the ball. But anyway, wow. So we're not going to really get to a lot of this. I did want to talk about Obi and IQ, just spend a little bit of time. So I try to highlight, you can't highlight every player every week. But I did want to talk about, so we won't even get into our offense, defense. I have to save that for another show. So each week we focus on a few players. I try to mix it up, but today I want to focus on IQ and Obi. They were our rookies for last year, and just want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing from them this year. So let's just start with IQ. Just your general observation about his game compared to last season, and how much you think he can help us, and do you think he's in the right role for us?
No, I got a hot take. I told Die Hard this last week. Yo, IQ gonna be the starting point guard by December 15th. I've been said that to Die Hard. He gonna be the starting point guard soon. You can't keep him on the bench no more. I think and you know why I think that's what's best for people like me who want Tibbs to play the young guys. And I think that's best for the team, because the man is looking like a young Avery Bradley. He looked like a young Avery Bradley. He got a 6'10" wingspan. He's playing great defense. I think he should be the starter, yo. I think he should be the starter. So I know the field goal percentage look garbage. I know that, his other percentages look garbage. But IQ is now 12 for 22, 55% from downtown over the Knicks' last 5 games. And he's one of our toughest guard defenders. So I think we should honestly, under Tibbs, this guy, Aaron Brooks, Kirk Heinrich, Derrick Rose, all that, give quickly the keys, man. If Randall want to play like this, yeah, I think IQ was best moving forward, because I want to save Rose. But I think let's roll with IQ, man. Give him the keys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I was gonna say that I agree with that, because personally, I don't want Rose to be a starter. I love how Rose comes in off the bench and what he brings to the lineup when he's coming off the bench. And I'm not afraid to put IQ in the starting lineup. I don't think you can't look at IQ because he's not a rookie, even though he's still a young player. He went through his bumps and lumps of all that stuff that he had to deal with last year. He went through the summer league. He went through, working out in the off season and giving up his free time to get better. And I think the biggest thing with IQ is that we saw him get off to a slow start and he struggled early. But the difference is now he's getting back to where his game usually is. But if you put him in the starting lineup, I don't think you see those same struggles, because I think his confidence will shoot through the roof. He'll feel like, wow, I've done some things and it's being recognized. And I don't think he'll have those consistently bad games. He might have maybe a poor shooting night, because that happens to all shooters, but IQ at least does a lot of other things. I've seen the summer league open my eyes to him rebounding, getting assists, and steals, and then most importantly, now we see that he's actually playing really good defense. This is a new wrinkle to his game. So I think he'll be fine. I don't think they miss a beat. The only problem that would have to happen is, but that will happen from his play and who he is as a person, because he's got a little bit of a bulldog mentality. Is if Fournier and Randall buy into it. I'm just saying Fournier because I think he'll be fine, but really Randall, will he buy into being, orchestrated around by IQ, who's a second-year player and still hasn't seen everything yet? That would be the key.
I say no. He's not even allowing Kimba, who's been in the league for as long as he's been in the league, orchestrate the offense. Though I do think some of that is Tibbs, though. Maybe wanting the offense to be facilitated through Randall, because he can easily put a stop to that.
Right.
But I don't have a problem with IQ in the starting lineup. And I know people may want it because of his shooting. I want it because of the perimeter defense. Our perimeter defense is terrible. Guards are just getting in the key. When they get in the key, now you got to rotate. You leaving people open. It's just a mess. Say what you want about Elf. I'm not saying nobody ever got into the key, but it didn't happen as much. And that's what makes our defense what it is right now. Players getting into the key easily, right? So I noticed that about IQ in Summer League, that his defense had got better. His playmaking got better over the Summer League games. I think he would be, okay in that position. It's just in that second unit, Kemba, Berg, Rose. I mean, I guess it could work. But right now he's averaging less minutes, but I think that's because he was just terrible out the gate. I think we'll see his minutes improve as the season goes along. And I like what I'm seeing from him. Eru?
Well, here's a thought. When you're talking about winning championships and getting to the next level, getting out the first round, that type of thing, as teams are building, not everybody is going to make it. Not everybody's going to make the entire trip. You're going to get us to a certain point, just like we have Bullock. Bullock got us through last year. He's not here now. So we upgraded that position. So as we go along, we're going to realize that certain guys are just not going to make it to the end. Tom Thibodeau included. He might not be there either. But just to bring it to Emmanuel quickly, I think that it's only right that that this kid will probably end up being the starting point guard, probably sooner than later. Then also Deuce McBride coming off the bench, probably backing him up, will probably be fantastic as well. But I just want to bring it back to the point that not everybody can make it. So I mean, if we get rid of Kemba out the starting lineup, then you need to figure that out too. You got to figure out whether or not you want to keep him on the roster because you like what Rose is doing. Maybe Kemba plays good with Rose coming off the bench. Maybe that works itself out in that way. But there lies our trade. There might be a trade involved in there somewhere with some of these different players. Right. But same thing with Obi too. Maybe Julius might not be the one to stay. Maybe Obi might be the one to go in this thing. But not everybody's gonna make it to the end. But we'll see though. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and it's something that you can't really talk about in this Knick community without people breaking out in hives. But you're absolutely you're right. If we're gonna upgrade this roster, and if we're saying, like I'm saying, what we need is not on this roster, you're gonna have to give to get. And if you think players are we're talking about wait till December 15th, like people are going to be banging down our door for Fournier because he's not a match. You can forget it. People want, they're going to want our young guys, so it's going to be hard to upgrade our roster without giving up one of them. So yeah, this is quickly stats right now, 16 and a half minutes, 7.7 points a game, 1.7 rebounds a game, 2.1 assists a game, shooting 36.4%. And I would think that that's probably up from what it would have been a week ago, shooting 32.7% from the 3-point line and 90.5% free throw. So his numbers are down from last year, but I think it's just because of the slump he was in. And I think by the time this season ends, all of this will have improved. Let's move on to Obi. Your general observation about Obi's game. compared to last season. Well, I want to go first because I killed Obi last, and I'm not taking it back. He was just a mess, in my opinion. Last year, he was the 8th pick. We expected him to come in to be NBA ready, at least give us like 10 points, 4 rebounds. And I get it. Shout out to Cornerstone Kev. You know, he didn't have summer league. He didn't, and nobody did. He got injured as soon as he came out. But I'm not even talking about the points. I'm just talking about how he looked. I'm just talking about his footwork. He just seemed like he was just shocked that he was in the NBA. And I wasn't very impressed with his game overall. But I did say I thought he would make the biggest leap in the summertime, partly because he had the biggest leap to make, you know, and he did it, you know, and kudos to him. You know, he went out, he put in the work. Now, when I look at him, because last year was, what is his skill? Does he have one skill we can count on other than athleticism, right? Now he comes in, you know, his 3-point shooting is not, you know, great. I think he's shooting like 12%. But you could tell from last season, he could shoot the 3. He's able to stretch the defense. He's finishing around the basket. He has nice touch around the basket, nice body control. He's in there fighting for rebounds. He knows what he's doing. His defense is better. I've seen him put the ball on the floor, take it to the hole. I've seen him put the ball on the floor, 2-3 dribbles and pull up and shoot. So now I'm seeing game. I'm not impressed by athleticism. I'm just not. Now I'm seeing the development in his game, and I was hoping we would go with that small ball lineup so that he can get more time, and that's not looking to be the case. Before I get to you, I just want to give a shout out. We get super chats from the panel members. Shout out. Oh no, that's John. I thought that was you, Ron. I was like, we
won. It's okay. It's his money, but you know, it's for me too.
Okay. He said, just witnessed Curry being cheered against the Nets at the Barclay, and that is why Knicks fans run New York. That will never happen at the Garden. 100% fact, and that is the truth. That would not happen at the Garden, and you wouldn't have to be out there paying for playoff tickets to fill the building. Either at the Garden. If you ain't getting your tickets within the first 2 hours, you ain't getting in the building.
Yeah, they're trying to clean up that death row they got over there. They're looking for our celebrity row, but they ain't got that.
Right. Anybody else? Oh, let me just go over his numbers. His numbers are actually up. He's averaging almost 15 minutes a game. Wow. 7.6 points a game, 3.2 rebounds, 1.1 assists. Shooting 55, almost 50% from the field. Wow, just 12% from 3, and 67.7% from the free throw line. Any thoughts on Obi's development this season?
Well, you know, if I could piggyback on what you're saying, I agree with you. You know, I was like really down on Obi in the beginning. I was hopeful at first, but I was super down on him, man. I mean, the guy's extremely weak. You know, his legs look crazy. He runs like my 5-year-old. He still does it now, you know. So everyone was really high about the summer league game, whatever. You know, he was playing good, but he wasn't playing against anybody physical. You know, so now fast forward to what's happening now. Even though he has made strides, you know, and it was really, to me, his confidence has made strides. You know, just knowing himself physically that he can compete in the NBA. I just think that's what we're seeing. We're not seeing something that, you know, anything, because people talking about dumping the ball off to him, giving him more shots and all kind of stuff. I don't think we're there yet, because if we play a team that's physical, Obi Toppin can get nullified. You know, but if we play a team that doesn't really have a big man like that, that's where Obi Toppin, you can see his effort. Because there's one thing about Obi, he's always going to play hard, extremely hard. Right. So, you know, right now the confidence matches him playing hard. But just how he fits in the NBA, what type of player he's going to be. He's, you know, in the beginning he was struggling trying to overpower guys. That wasn't working. Now you can see him being a little bit more finesse and trying to time rebounds, that type of thing. You know, so, you know, we're going to see the evolution of this kid, because, I mean, throughout his whole basketball career, he's always evolved at, you know, for every level. He'll start one way. Next thing you know, he's a star player. Same thing at college. The first year wasn't all that, but then now he's like a lottery pick in the next year. So this is the way that he develops, you know. So I think Obi Toppin is gonna reach where he needs to go. We just got to be patient on it, because one thing I'm gonna say, I don't think he's a bad player. but he's just like a guy that's just still trying to figure it out. He's a young boy, even though he's old, according to basketball years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's one thing I always disagree with Die Hard when it comes to Obi. I don't know what Die Hard is watching. I don't know what Die Hard is watching. Besides these numbers, which is as expected, Thibodeau, of course, he would give the 23-year-old lottery pick 15 minutes a game.
Playing behind that second team all defender, where you gonna cut Randall's minutes down?
You can't draft Mr. You can't draft him top 10, and you can't play him at 22 years old and tell me before we draft him, oh, he's the most NBA ready, and play him 11 minutes per game with 4 points per game. You can't do that after I just finished watching a 21-win season. Then you come back this season, you still got him standing at the 3-point line. He's not a spot-up shooter. He should be cutting to the rim every time, evident at his field goal percentage and evident at his 3-point percentage. But, I don't know, Mr. what we need to do, but playing Randall 38 minutes every game, when you spent the lottery pick on Obi, it does him a disservice. And if I'm his agent, I'm looking at that like, yo.
But you can't just play him. You can't just, the team, first of all, I don't think they knew the team was going to win. They didn't know the team was going to win 41 games, or they would not have drafted Obi Toppin. Nobody knew Randall was going to take this leap, or they would not have drafted Obi Toppin. But it happened, so you can't say, oh, well, we won 41 games. We went to the playoffs. This guy was second team all NBA. However, we drafted this guy number 8. So we're going to play him over or the guy who was second team. Or you just can't do it. They made a mistake. They didn't know, that Randall was going to be this. And I think the 11 minutes he got last year was too much. He just wasn't good last year. And I don't believe in just playing yourself into shape. You do that when you're on a lottery team. Mobley, they play their rookies, you play them. The Knicks was a playoff team, so you can't just be like, oh, we're just going to play our rookies to develop them for the future, whether we make the playoffs or not. It just doesn't happen. You look around the league, Kai Jones, Book Knight, all of these guys that are on playoff team, they're not playing.
So
they're not playing at all.
I understand, but Obi can play backup power forward. He can play backup center. He can play small ball. I think he's a good defender. I don't know. I would try him at small forward. You got to do something, because you can't continue to sit here and continue to pay him 15 minutes per game.
You know what I think we should do? I think we need to trade Obi. And I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying
I'm saying it because he's stuck behind Randall. He's stuck behind Randall. Tibbs is not committing to playing small ball. So you have an asset that's playing 15 minutes a game that you could turn into something that you can use to play more minutes at a different position. If you're committing to small ball, that's a different story. Then keep him, because he's going to get minutes at the 4. He's going to get minutes at the 5. But if you're not going to do that, you're just going to have this asset play 15 minutes a game for when? For how long?
He's just not tough enough defensively. He's just not tough enough rebounding the ball. And just like doing like what Taj does, we were talking about just sealing his position. When it comes to playoff games and stuff like that, you can't rely on Obi Toppin to do that. State is right. We should be using Obi Toppin going to the basket, receiving passes like that. But then if we do that, that kind of changes everything that we do well, because the second unit plays well a certain way. If you're going to change the way that they play, now you negate the reason why the second unit is so good. So I mean, like if you're gonna play a small ball lineup, some guys in the chat were saying it earlier. I mean, say Jeremy Grant over there in Detroit, he's just making all that money on the team that's not going to go nowhere. Obi Toppin is a young guy. They could send Obi Toppin to Detroit and somehow give us Jeremy Grant, and now you can run a small ball lineup where Jeremy Grant could play power forward and then Julius Randle could play center. That'll make a little bit more sense, because at least Jeremy Grant is more physical. you know, and you know, he does everything that we want Obi Toppin to do, shoot threes and all this other different things, you know. So I mean, that's something to look forward that, you know, down the road.
Shout out to the chat. D Public Enemy, stop lying because Obi stepped up in the playoffs. So stop saying he was horrible last. Listen, relax. He averaged 5 points and 3 rebounds or something like that in the playoffs. So what does step up mean? I mean, come on, we got to be serious about this. I'm not saying he's not going to get better. I'm not saying he's not going to become an all-star. He might. But let's stop talking about how he stepped up in the playoffs when nobody was keying on him. It's easy to step up when nobody is focused on you. The game plan is not against you. And a step up is 5 points. Come on. Because he looked like he can finally stand on his foot and run around. Now, oh, wow, he really stepped up. Come on, he did look good. He looked better than he did in the regular season. Don't get me wrong. He did look better. But let's stop overvaluing it like he went out there and was like 20-6. He wasn't. You know, he looked terrible last year. The only reason... And State, you should be happy. They gifted him minutes. That's what you believe, right? That they should give your lottery picks minutes, whether they earned it or not. Well, Obi did not earn those minutes, in my opinion, last season, and he got them because the front office sent that phone call and said, you need to take Knox out the starting lineup. Our regime did not draft him, and you need to put Obi in that starting lineup
Magic
because that's who we
specifically
drafted.
was a
And that's why Obi got those minutes when he looked like a deer in headlight for a stretch.
No fans. That's all. No fans. There was no fans in the stands. He's an energy player. This is when I was sitting next to Don and we saying Obi, that when Obi's in the game, like it's a different basketball game. Like
it is.
He doesn't. He's not ball dominant. The ball's always moving when Obi's in the game. He played. Listen, I disagree with Don when he says Obi, he doesn't box out and whatnot. I see him fighting for on boards. I see him fighting on defense. I see him trying.
But I say that he plays extremely hard. But as far as boxing out, he does not do that. He doesn't box anybody out. The guards push him off the block. You know, that doesn't mean that he's not playing hard. He's still playing extremely hard, but he's just not strong enough to box and do what big men need to do if you're going to play a small ball lineup with Julius.
I mean, hey, we'll see, but we can still keep Obi though. It's not like, you know, people in the chat, yo, don't trade the young guys. We can keep Obi.
Absolutely.
Obi could probably play 3, 4, 5 in the future. You never know. So
yeah. If he's gonna play multiple positions, then yeah, I think that's an asset, and we should keep him. I'm just saying, if he's gonna be stuck behind Randall 15 minutes, you're not gonna get all you can get out of him. I agree. Yeah. I think we can get more out of him with extended minutes. I agree with that. Somebody said, like Randall was reliable in the playoffs. Listen, and I got on Randall too, but it's a whole different story when the entire game plan is geared to stop you. That's a different story. And Randall has to get better, no doubt about it. He looked like a deer in headlights some of them times, and some of it was just not having teammates that could take the pressure off of him and that could do anything once he did pass them the ball. But I'm not absolving Randall from that that playoff performance. But you're not gonna tell me Obi played better than Randall when nobody was keying on him, you know, in that series. And had they did key him, he wouldn't have had any points in that series, if you ask me.
Yo, Ranrock, I see you, man, but this is not my show because I will blast you if this is my show, Ranrock. Just letting you know. This is not the Die Hard Knicks podcast. Ranrock, Mister, I see you calling me out about the Obi Toppin, Jeremy Grant take, but this is not my show. So you know, if you wanna argue, you can come to my show, and I'll gladly blast you all night long. You know what I'm saying? But this is Steph's show.
Right. And shout out to Sam. Let Obi grow. He's playing well with the second unit. I'm not sure he's ready to be a starter on a playoff caliber team. Just let him grow. His minutes will go up. The better he play. I don't know how the minutes are gonna go up, Sam, if Tibbs ain't gonna play him at a different position. I do not see Tibbs cutting down Randall's minutes to like 30. So
take the pamper off Obi, please.
Where you playing him?
play him anywhere. I know if he was under Steve Kerr. Matter of fact, I'll give you a stat.
Oh yeah, that would be a different story. He would be
I give you
playing
a stat.
center. He would be playing
Otto Porter
center.
Jr. plays 41% of his minutes at backup center. I don't know.
doubt about it.
Tibbs can't find. I don't want to hear about Tibbs can't find Obi minutes. That's an excuse. All the excuses went out the window when Leon Rose spent all the cap. Find my man some minutes. Stop pulling him. He pulled them a game. He went 3 for 3, 7 points in 2 minutes. He pulled them. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? We'll see. We'll see. Let the Knicks keep hovering around 500, and let fans keep seeing Randall do what he was doing 6 games prior to the last game, and let's see Obi getting pulled. Let him keep getting pulled. We'll see. We'll talk soon about that.
Yeah, I think if they play more small ball, I think he'll get more minutes. But Tibbs like his rim protection as well. So
Mo Bamba.
we will see. But you trading Obi for Mo Bamba? Because they're not going to take scraps for Mo Bamba at this point.
Yeah.
So hypothetical. I'm just laying it out there.
Okay.
You know, Orlando State, the top 2 prospect in this NBA draft. Both of them is a power forward in the center. They just paid Wendell Carter Jr. $50 million. They already paid Jonathan Isaac, who plays power forward. Who's the odd man now? Well,
Who you giving up for him though?
we already know, man. Send number 20 home. You know, send number 20 home. Who else?
Man, they're not gonna take that. That's a young team.
I'll send a
You
first.
talking about Kevin Knox? You talking
I
about?
send a first. I will send a first for Mo Bamba. Are you kidding me? Our centers is always hurt.
Listen, Mo
doubt
Bamba
about
is
it.
definitely. Yeah, Mo Bamba's a staple for Orlando right now. If I'm Orlando, I'm trying to build with Mo Bamba and Cole Anthony and these guys.
Staple 3 and 11. That's a staple. When the top 2 prospects is a center and a power forward, that's a staple. And you got to pay him after you just paid Wendell Carter Jr. Come on, dog. Come on, dog.
But you're talking about trade Knox and a first for Mo Bamba. Knox. Come on, Steve.
I could dig deep into it, but I don't really feel like it. But we could do a deal for Mo Bamba, especially next off season if you really want to do a sign and trade. But they not going to keep Mo if they get the top 3 pick in this year's draft. No way.
Why not?
I'm not trying to trade anybody.
I would trade Wendell Carter before I traded Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba, he can rebound, he blocks shots, he can hit the 3. He is a prototypical stretch center. Those guys are not easy to come by.
You're smart. You're intelligent, Miss Steph. I need Orlando to be dumb.
I tell you one thing. I would maybe that'd be blasphemy to some fans. I trade Mitch for Mo, and I give him a pick.
Easy. Yeah. They're not taking that easy.
I mean, listen. Listen. We look at Mitch because of his potential. Other teams still see potential in Mitch. Remember, Mitch is just going through a bad spell because he got a new body type. If Mitch cuts a little bit of that weight, 10, 15 pounds, you might see explosive Mitch again, and you know that could be beneficial to a team.
You think he's gonna be better than Mo Bamba though?
The
flow, he can't shoot.
No. But that's why I say you got to give him Mitch, and you got to give him a first rounder. The first rounder is the key. Mitch is the stopgap, but you know that first round could turn into something good. You never know.
Miss Steph, you trying to win games? You trying to say we can't go to ties for 82 games of this?
Oh no. I like Mo Bamba. I just don't think they're gonna give him up. I would love Mo Bamba on this team. Love him on this team. Who you want?
I don't see him.
But y'all want Mo Bamba, but y'all don't want to give up to get. You don't want to give up Obi for him. You don't want to give up a quick for him. We just want to get him with our spare parts. And I
don't think you give up. I don't think they would want Obi because hypothetical speaking, right? The top 3 picks in this year's draft, if they get the top 3 or top 4 pick, they all power forwards and centers. They already got Ivy.
Yo, check it. State. They want RJ. So now what?
Man, if you don't, man, stop.
They're gonna ask for. I don't know if they're gonna ask for RJ, but they're gonna ask for
They
something.
might.
I don't think they're gonna go with Knox in the first.
I'm sick of hospital bed nerds.
If you give them Knox and Mitch,
It's a little different. But they just signed the Wendell Carter guy. What's his name? Wendell Carter Jr.
Window counter
Yeah.
junior, yeah.
Yeah,
All
they
right,
just
well,
signed
then
him to
you-
like a bag.
Yeah,
well, then you flip it around. Don't give them Knox. Give them Mitch and Grimes. Yeah, I said it. If you ain't gonna play Grimes on the Knicks, might as well get
But
something
he
for
don't
him.
have value though.
You're gonna make
He's
State
not
pass out,
playing.
man.
Does he have value?
I'm doing that
He-
deal,
he-
bro.
But he's like a person who has no credit. It's not bad credit. You got no
You just
credit.
don't know. Okay. All right.
Right.
All right. Let's take a look at the next week's games real quick before we get out of here. Just get your thoughts. We play Orlando, who's 3-11, 15th, which is last place in the Eastern Conference. They lost their last 3 games. Then we play Houston, who's 1-13, and I think they lost. Let me see. I have it here. They've lost their last 12 games, and they're also last in the Western Conference. Very young team. Then we play Chicago, 10-4, second in the Eastern Conference. We beat them the first time around. They have great chemistry. They have a shallow bench though, but great chemistry. Vucevic is out with the COVID protocol. Not sure whether or not he'll be back. But any thoughts on these upcoming games? Any predictions?
I got us
No.
winning all 3.
Wow.
And me too. I feel it in my bones, man. But the Knicks, they drive us crazy, man. It's gonna be a roller coaster. These 3 games.
Yeah, I think winning those first 2 gives us the comfort of us being back to our winning ways and have us good going into the Bulls game. And I think we'll beat the Bulls again.
Yeah, 11-6 looks really nice, man. That would look really
Yeah,
nice.
that Chicago game, I might be in the building. I'm gonna see. That's gonna be a good team. But let me tell you. So I think we'll be. I'm gonna say 3-0. Only because we're playing Chicago at home. But if we lose to Orlando or Houston,
I think we're gonna split one of those games. Watch. I think we're gonna split one of those games. I think
so.
I think we'll split one of them and beat the Bulls. Right? Don't be surprised if we lose one of these games.
The only thing I'm worried about, I still think we could win, but the only thing I'm worried about is if this team is still lacking that effort, because the Houston and Chicago games are back to back. So I need the Knicks to come out and play like they want to win the game. Because if after playing Houston, going the next day and playing Chicago, if they ain't got the fire, first off, I don't think this should be any issue. That's why I think they should win, because you going from playing Houston, you take care of business. Let's get this victory. Then you come into the Garden. You're in the Garden, whatever. Oh no, actually, that game is in Chicago, isn't it?
It's in Chicago. I must have it
I think
wrong.
it is. That game
I
is in
must have it
Chi-Town.
Okay.
So I think you got, but the point is you're
Didn't
going
we
to play
play
one
them
of the,
in Chicago?
so, I don't know.
Let me
Check that out. I think it might
we
be
did
in-
play them in Chicago, but we're playing them again.
in
It's
Chicago.
Yeah.
definitely in Chicago. Yep, definitely in Chicago.
Wow.
So I mean, the Knicks do get up to play good teams. So I think that'll help, because I am worried about the effort on back-to-backs.
The effort. How much effort you putting out against Houston? If you can't, the bench should be. I mean, the situational players should be playing against Houston. If we
Yeah, but this
win
is
these
Pitt.
games, but yet we struggling, I'm gonna have a problem. Could you think like we've turned the corner a little bit on Indy, and then you go out and struggle against Orlando and Houston? Now, that being said, Orlando, that's a young team. Cole Anthony has got it together. He's playing well. You got Mo Bamba. People out there saying Mitch better than Mo Bamba. I don't know if you guys been watching the games. I don't know if I could say that right now, that Mitch is better than Mo Bamba right now. So Orlando is they got a lot of young guys that's playing well. Houston as well, but they're just not playing as well. Well, neither one is playing well, but Houston looks worse.
Please don't lose to Houston. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm gonna say about Tibbs if he lose. Oh, I'll take a loss to Orlando. Cool. Don't lose to Houston yet. We lose to Houston, bro. I don't know what Nick. I'm not even gonna say nothing.
Yo, man, they got guys that give us matchup problems, man. You want to talk about Christian Wood and Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green and Segun. These guys could give us problems, man. The Knicks always let that one guy have that career night against us, man. So that's always a potential. But I hope we take care of business against Orlando and Houston, man. Just like Steph, I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Right. And when you think about it, they got those guards that can get in the lane, and our perimeter defense is not great. Now, our help defense was much better in Indiana when a guard would drive. Let's see. Jalen Green is uber athletic. Kevin Porter Jr., Cole Anthony, he always got a bone to pick with us. So he's going to be ready, and he's playing better as it is. So it could be just as simple as that. We're not able to keep the guards out the lane.
Plus, I don't like that little stat that Sim dropped earlier. The fact that,
What's that?
Currently they're on a real bad losing streak. So if they, they might come out there trying to crack that losing streak. Like, oh, we got to get this one. I don't know.
Oh man, we already allowed Evan Mobley to come in the garden. I mean, baby Mitch. He destroyed Mitch. He destroyed Randall. He destroyed Taj Gibson. Dropped 28, looking like Chris Bosh, Zach Randall. He destroyed all of them. Don't let Jalen Green, RJ Barrett score 30 plus points, bro. Do not have that man score 30 plus points, bro.
Right.
It's about respect, yo. You cannot lose to Houston, yo. Anybody.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a fact.
And the more a team lose, though, the more they do to win one. So I just hope, I hope they get one before they play us. Any of those back to back? Yes. Houston. I think Houston Saturday and Sunday. Houston and Chicago is back to back. Yeah. Houston has
that's
lost
on the
12
weekend,
straight
too.
games.
Yeah.
That's a
12
weekend
straight.
game too. 5 p.m.
Both
and
of
then yep. Yeah.
All right. Any last words before we get out of here?
Don't lose the goddamn Houston. That's the main thing. Oh.
Orlando. They beat us already. You gonna let them beat you again? Come on.
Yeah, I want to throw the Lakers in that mix too. The Lakers are right after them, so I want to beat the Lakers too.
That's what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
There's 171 people watching right now. Definitely hit that like button. Get them likes up. Let's go, people. Come on. You know how Steph gives it up. The Queen's Court always giving you fire content, bringing you different variety of guests each week. Sometimes some fill-ins. Hi, how you doing? But anyway, yeah. But definitely give her that love, y'all. Show her that love. Give her them likes, and then all 170 of you right now, just head right on over to Still Knicks fans. I'm in 2 places at the same time right now. I think we still got some good show left, man. Go over there and check us out. That's my final words.
Okay. And what about the show Thursday?
Oh, and yes, thank you, Steph. And don't forget, guys. Once again, the NBA report on the Nothing But Knicks Network is going to be airing this Thursday at 8 p.m. Next week it may be a different day, but this week at least it will be this Thursday at 8 p.m. The NBA report on the NBK Network. So definitely check us out. And remember, it's Nothing But Knicks with a little bit of Eastern Conference.
That was excellent. That was excellent. Oh man. Well, catch E-Rule, Die Knicks podcast. My man State is there with us too. We always do Die Hard, what was it? New York's the Die Hard State of Mind show. That's what me and State do. So yeah, man, we talk about anything. Sometimes it could be a post-game show, sometimes it just whatever State is thinking about, he wants to get it off his chest and stuff. So tune in for that. We do that sporadically. We don't really have a set time for that. Then also halftime to crunch time for every game. You're gonna see State there probably too, and then just me giving a play-by-play of the game. So please check it out, man. Would appreciate it.
Then Steph, I appreciate you bringing me on. Y'all know I'm at work right now, but I gotta talk Knicks. This can wait.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
You was
if you
too
on
calm
Twitter,
today. I was expecting a little more smoke from you today, Steve.
Nah, it was the win. Winning cures all. You know, we won the game. Randall played well. He good body language. Alec Burks played well last 2 games. I have nothing to complain about.
You was on Burke too. That's right.
Yes. You know, Don state of mind. Ron still Nick fans. I appreciate you, man. Go follow Ron. Y'all know where to find me. Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, everything, man. Y'all know I'm like 150 plus episodes in, man. I appreciate y'all. OG Sim, I appreciate you, man. You was one of the first people I watched on Nothing with Knicks. It's like 4 years ago. It was so long ago, but he was one of the people that inspired me to do what I do now. So that's why y'all see me in here. So I appreciate y'all. Daha, I'll probably see you tomorrow. I'll probably see you the day after, but we definitely go talk Daha, State of Mind. Ron, still Knicks fans. Me and you definitely got to talk. Miss Stephanie, I appreciate you. I'll come on anytime you need me to come on this show.
Absolutely.
Chat, get them thumbs up. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all all like family. I'm out of here. It's your boy State. Appreciate y'all.
peace, State.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll close it out. You know, shout out to Ron, shout out to Eru, shout out to State. All of those guys have their own podcast, right? It's the Knicks are in season. It's a busy season for all of us, and for them to take the time out to come on the show, I really, really appreciate it. They did not have to. So shout out to them. And when you get an opportunity, if you haven't already, subscribe to Die Hard Podcast. Still Knick fans, catch State on what do you say? Apple, Stitch, multiple platforms. And if you ever get an opportunity to catch Eru and State together, the chemistry between those two are just fire. The dynamic is just it's crazy. So if you get an opportunity, please do that. Next week we're back Monday 8:30 p.m. The Knicks do not have a Monday game. Shout out to you, Sim. Shout out to the chat. Those that's gonna listen later. Appreciate you. Be easy, Knick family. See you next time.